Hello. Hello and welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's live broadcast where you can ask questions about astrology, any kind of questions you want. We are Rainbow Soul and we are gearing up for a big eclipse tomorrow, you guys. I hope you guys are ready. It will be in Aquarius. Um so I hope I'll be interested to see how this eclipse sort of whispers to you. I say that depending on where things are in your chart, um, and things like that. Oh, it looks like we have to boot somebody already. All right. Uh, like a lot of times, depending on what is in Aquarius for yourself. What's in Aquarius? Where is Aquarius in your chart? What house does it rule? And that's the kind of things you want to be looking at. You want to be looking at how it works for you in your chart. And the house is usually broken up into houses. Um, the chart is broken up into houses, and those are going to be, uh, you know, they kind of look like pies if you're looking at your chart, and if you have whole house versus Placidus and things of that nature. Lots of different house systems out there. We use Placidus. Sometimes I use whole house. Usually I use whole house to do the horoscopes. So, hi, Emmanuel. How are you? It's great to have you here with us today. So, if anyone has any questions about the astrology that's going on this week, like I mentioned, we're having a big eclipse. Um, Go ahead.
Yeah, so obviously we're having a solar eclipse tomorrow morning. So most of North America, it's not visible. The eclipse will last for about 4 or 5 hours. They vary at different times. And of course, this one's in Aquarius. So if you have late placements in Aquarius, 28 degrees, actually anything at 28 degrees is going to be lit up because that's where the eclipse is. So, and I would really say the last 5 degrees of Aquarius from 25 through 29, any placements that way, you're going to definitely feel this eclipse. And what is an eclipse? An eclipse is literally an ecliptic, right? It's when we see something that you normally couldn't see. An eclipse of the heart is often a phrase, right? So when we think about eclipses, there's usually a revelation. We also think about eclipses as beginnings and endings. So this is the solar eclipse in this case happens to be in the North Node, and it's the sorry, I don't scratch what I just said about the North Node. Don't worry about that right now. The eclipse in Aquarius, anyone who has placements in Aquarius, big at the end there, folks, Uranus is your ruler. And so you're going to want to look at where Uranus is and how that sort of flavors the conversation. We're happy to do free readings with you, but we need 3 vital pieces of information. 1, obviously birth time, birth date, time, and location. And then if you're looking to understand what does this mean to you now, tell us if you're in a different location than where you were born or the person's chart we're doing. Okay? Because that'll affect things just a little bit. So vital if you have time and location. Makes for a lot more specificity than just a birthday. We have a lot going on in 2026 with all of the planets, and coming up in the end of February will be a Mercury retrograde. We're already in the shadow period of this Mercury retrograde. And then simultaneously at the same time in March, Venus will also go retrograde. So that's significant. Those are what we call personal planets. Mercury how we communicate, and Venus is our relationships, right? So those going retrograde is definitely something. It's like knowing the weather. You want to understand where things are at and how it impacts you. So just a little teaser about the next month or two. And then, of course, whenever we have a solar eclipse or an eclipse period, 2 weeks later, we have the other eclipse, right? So a solar eclipse is a new moon, a lunar eclipse is a full moon. In 2 weeks, we'll have a lunar eclipse in Virgo. It'll be it'll affect all of the folks with that, and I mention that because all of that means, because March is Mercury retrograde, an eclipse in Virgo, which is a Mercury ruled sign. These things start to stack up. And if you're a Gemini, you're a Mercury ruled sign. So if you're a Virgo rising or a Gemini rising, you're a Mercury ruled sign. Mercury will impact you more because of your relationship with it. So just like if you have strong Uranus placements, like Hollis does, for example, this eclipse, they will feel it no matter what. And everything that folks have been saying about what the eclipse means, boy, we are right in the pocket. Can't make this stuff up. So we'd be happy to help you understand where it's at for you. And of course, astrology is a great way to get insights into your life, have a better understanding about what's going on for you. If you're not finding life to be intense, then most people want to know what's your secret, because 2026, everyone is feeling it. And when it comes to eclipses and the period of time that brackets around eclipses, everyone's like, God, it's so intense. Why is this so intense? This is why. Okay. Samantha, thank you for joining the conversation. Hello. I thought Neptune and Saturn in Aries at 0 was going to be the headline, but it seems the eclipse took the show. Well, you are absolutely 100% right. From a big picture perspective, that world point with Neptune and Saturn, you're 100% right. It's a big one, and it's also part of this week. And the wow 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 is definitely in play. And throw on top of that the eclipse energy. You can never ignore these things. It's always big. So yeah, hopefully it has a positive flavor for you, but most definitely it amps up the intensity. And the good thing to know, especially if you look at our weekly forecast, what we just put up on YouTube, the forecast for the week, what you'll find is that we have the eclipse on Tuesday morning, and then Tuesday afternoon from noon to 2, it's a void of course moon. The moon moves out of Aquarius because, of course, it's right there at the very end, moves into Pisces. We have a big void moon on Thursday, all day Thursday, basically, and also on Saturday, all day Saturday. So void moons are really interesting. I find that they it's the transition with the moon moves signs about every 2.5 days, and when it transitions from one sign to the next, it's called the void of course. I don't exactly know what the of course means, but that's what it's called. So that period is a time when the moon has its least amount of energy. So generally speaking, we think of the moon, we think of our emotional body, and think of the ocean of emotion, right? And so The moon is gonna, when it goes void, it's gonna be really chill, and it's a time to actually be grateful for no drama, less high keyed up energy. So that can be really helpful to know the voids are gonna be right after the eclipse on all day Thursday and all day Sunday. All right. So, do we have a question about a chart?
And I think that the intensity of the eclipse speaks to, I think it speaks to the Neptune and Saturn conjunction in Aries. I think it just kind of adds to it, you know what I mean? So like the Saturn and Neptune Aries thing, you know, if we think about it on a collective, it's pretty much things being revealed around our system, the truth emerging. And as Saturn moves right on past Neptune and this eclipse happens all at the same time, I think that speaks to the intensity of what that means. And I think that the Aquarius energy speaks to we the people, you know, all of us the people, realizing that we have to stand up for ourselves, right? We have to stand up and say, hey, uh you know, I can't always I can't just let this happen. I can't stand by and let this happen. I have to stand up. You know, we have to stand together. We all have to come together. And I think that that's what people are realizing. I'm not saying everybody's going to jump on board right away because, you know, well, nothing happens that way, but this is an eclipse. This is where people are going to shift and recognize how we all have to come together. And I think that it's all part of the great shift. It's all part of the great reveal. And this is the end of the great reveal that I've been talking about for, I don't know, for like the last half, almost year, like 6 months or something. So this is part of the great reveal. And here we are. This is the end. Kabam, with this eclipse. And then I think it will truly end when the North Node moves into Aquarius a little bit later this year.
The other thing that flavors this eclipse is that I've mentioned that Aquarius, the ruler of Aquarius, is Uranus, and it's in a square. A square can be a challenging conversation. It's going to force some action. You got to go this way or you got to go that way. You got to take some action. And so what we have, of course, is we have a new moon in Aquarius with the solar eclipse, and that sun and moon are going to be in a square, that conversation with Uranus, which adds a level of tension, which makes us look at that world point that you've mentioned, the zero Aries, Saturn, Neptune. And yeah, it amplifies that vibe. Of course, Uranus when we talk about Uranus, what are we talking about? We're talking about the element of surprise, revolution. When we talk about Aquarius, it's the we sign. It's for the greatest good of all. In Aquarius, the ultimate Aquarian is surely there is a better way to do this, right? The vibe of Aquarius, it's a fixed air sign. So the vibe of Aquarius is wanting to see that justice is done in a good way for the greatest good. So they're humanitarians, they're community builders, they're, you know, what's a better way to do this? That's what an Aquarian's going to say. They always, Aquarians vibes, they always feel like they are on the outside. Clearly, everybody else can get along and do it this way, but not an Aquarian. Aquarian's going to be like, I can't do it that way anymore. There's got to be a better way. And so an Aquarian's going to need to do it differently. They need to do it differently, not the same old way. It's just not who they are. They're, um, I don't want to say they're opposite of Taurus, but that because Taurus is also a fixed sign, but Taurus is a fixed earth sign. And, Taurians can really literally dig their heels in when it comes to change. Whereas an Aquarian is like, bring on the change. Like, and they like it to be their idea, by the way. Just like Aries, they like to have it be their idea. Some people need it that way. So, little insight for those folks if you're dealing with folks of that sign. Hi, Melissa. Welcome back. Somebody said, are we in North America? The answer is yes. Yes, we are. We used to be in Colorado. Right now, we're in central Pennsylvania. And hopefully next month, we'll be in New York, upstate New York. Okay. So that's a little bit more about the eclipse and about the Aquarian energy. And then, we're coming into some major Pisces energy. Of course, the sun moves into Pisces this week on Wednesday. Wednesday. And then that whole stellium that has been moving together. First, everybody was in Capricorn, then they were all in Aquarius. Now they're all moving into Pisces. So now you have the sun, the North Node, Venus, the moon, Mercury, all so that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets in Pisces, and then you have Saturn and Neptune sitting there at 0 Aries plus Chiron in Aries. So a lot of concentration in that part of the chart. If you have strong Pisces or Aries placements, again, you will be feeling these energies more intensely than the rest of us. And hopefully in a good way. Hopefully it empowers you in a good way.
All right. So it seems if no one's got any major questions, it seems like maybe we should just close it up. There's going to be a big eclipse tomorrow, so if you're wondering what's happening in your life, what's the big thing that needs to shift, hopefully it will become clear tomorrow. I'm sure you probably already know what it is.
We'll be posting the reels for each of the individual horoscopes. And of course, we've already posted this week's forecast. So many thanks for sharing it, liking it, subscribing, all that yada yada. I appreciate it. It's really especially important these days to hit the bell on the subscribe thing with YouTube, because otherwise you just never see things. It's funny how stuff just disappears on you before you know it. And many thanks for joining us on the lives. We're always happy to answer any questions you might have. And thanks for listening to Rainbow Soul Astrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars. Have a great week, everybody. Have a great eclipse.